Okay, we're looking at chapter 6.8, patterns with fractions. So this is kind of the fun stuff. We're talking about patterns, and we have to find what happens. We have to be able to figure out a pattern. And Mr. Patrick in the problem on 273 is adding more chili powder. Each time he makes a bigger recipe or a second batch, has to add more. And there's kind of just a list of fractions, and we're going to work on the pattern. He's got 3 1/2 is the first fraction. That's how many ounces of chili powder he adds to his recipe. And then the second one is 4 5/6. Now these are ounces. And 6 1/6. And then 7 1/2. And then they have a little dot dot dot. That dot 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 show that pattern goes on. We got to find out what the pattern is. And usually when we have numbers, say we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, dot dot dot, we see that there's sort of a pattern, and you go from 2 to 4 by adding 2, and you go from 4 to 6 by adding 2, and from 6 to 8 by adding 2, and we can see this pattern repeating, so we can figure out that if we want to get the next number after 10, we just add 2. So that the rule or the pattern is add 2. That's this one. But over here we have to work it out as fractions, so it's a little tougher. The first thing that we want to do is we want to recognize that we're using mixed numbers, whole numbers with fractions, and that we need to use fractions that have equivalent denominators. And so we got to take our 1/2 and our 5/6, 1/6. We can see that we've got halves and sixes. So we've got to kind of work that out. We're going to change everything. So we're going to rewrite it using sixths, because halves go into sixths. 1/2 looks like, half a pizza. And if we want to cut it into sixes, we cut it into 3 pieces, and then there would be 3 sixes. 3 sixths is the same as 1/2. So every time we see this 1/2, we're going to write 3 sixths. We're going to just see what happens here. So 3 and 3 sixths, and then 4 and 5 sixths, and then 6 and 1/6, and then 7, and instead of 1/2, we're going to write 3 sixths. Oops, not 3/3. 3 sixths. There we go. Dot, dot, dot. And we're just going to look, how do I get from 3 to 4 sixths? What did I have to add? Well, first, 4 is bigger than 3. So that's 1 bigger, and then we look at 3 sixths and 5 sixths, and 3 sixths and 5 sixths. 5 sixths is bigger. It's 2 sixths bigger, so it grows when you go from 3 sixths plus 2 sixths equals 5 sixths. So we have to add 2 sixths, and we also have to add 1. So we're adding 1 and 2 sixths. Now we could simplify that down to 1/3, but right now we just want to see if we can do the same thing. What happens if we add 1 and 2 sixths to 4 and 5 sixths? So we come over here and we do a little work. Each time we do work, we got to come over here and kind of show what we're doing. Maybe we'll change colors here. So we have 5 sixths plus, look at that. It's 4 and 5 sixths plus, our pattern is 1 and 2 sixths. 1 and 2 sixths. We got to see if that works. Well, 4 plus 1 is 5. So we have 5, and then 5 plus 2 is 7. And we notice, that's a little strange, 5 and 7 sixths. So we remember that 7 sixths is the same as 6 sixths plus 1 sixth. See, this is 7 sixths. So we got to take the 6 sixths and turn it into 1. So we really have 6 and 1 sixths. Now this is from last week's lesson, or last lesson, so hopefully you can see how we changed 7 sixths into 1 and 1/6 and added it up. And 6 and 1/6 is what we get, so we know that we add 1 and 2 sixths, we get that pattern. And then we can try one more time by adding 1 and 2 sixths to 6 and 1/6. and see what we get. That's 7. 6 plus 1 is 7, and 1 plus 2 is 3. And 7 and 3 6 works. So we are adding 1 and 2 6. So the pattern is 1 and 2 6. And that works pretty well. And so, or the rule. The rule is add 1 and 2 sixths, or, or 1 and 1/3, because 2 6 is the same as 1/3. I think this is probably sufficient for this one. Although this might be a better answer, because if we're actually adding it, we may not have 2 6ths of a teaspoon, but we might have 1/3 of an ounce. So I guess we'd have to weigh that anyway. All right, so we're just going to keep looking for patterns and see what happens. Page 274 shows us another one. Find the unknown terms in the sequence. So they're going to give us 1 and 3/4, 1 and 9/16, 1 and 3/8, and then they have a 1 and 3/16, and then they have a blank, and then they have another blank, and then they have 7/16 and 1/4. Let's make that look a little better. 1/4. So it looks like we're going to have to do some work here. 1 and 7/16 is awfully small, and 1/4 is awfully small. And here we had almost 2. This is like if we're just going to estimate, this is like 2. This is like, I wrote 3. Look at that, guys. This is like 2. 1 and 9/16 is about 1.5. 1 and 3/8 is a little more than 1 and 1/4, but that's still pretty close to 1 and 1/2. So we might just leave it like that, and then 1 and 3/16 is a little less than 1 and 1/4. So I think that we have something kind of, there's 3 blanks in here. That's going to maybe help a little bit. The book has 3 blanks, 1, 2, 3 blanks, 1, 2, and 3 instead of just the 2. I was thinking there were just 2. Looks like it changes each time, but let's start with this one, and we'll just see what we get. How do you get from 1 and 3/4 to 1 and 9/16? Well, let's change 1 and 3/4 into sixteenths. 1 and some number of sixteenths. Alright, so from 4 to 16 is times 4, so 3 times 4 is 12. And then we have 12/16 down to 9/16. So that's like subtracting 3/16. And so we get 1 and 9/16. And then we got to go to 1 and some number of sixteenths again right here, but now we have eighths, so we're going to change that to sixteenths by multiplying by 2. 8 times 2 is 16, so 3 times 2 is 6. And when I go from 9 to 6, I'm going down 3/16 again. So this is again subtracting 3/16. So it looks like that's our pattern, but we have to just keep checking it. 6 take away 3 is 3/16. 1 and 3/16, and then minus 3/16. We can just subtract 3/16 to get this one, and then do it again, and then do it again. So 1 and 3/16 minus 3/16 equals 1. I don't have to write the equals. We're just going to keep writing the pattern. So 3/16 take away 3/16 is just going to equal 1. And then 1 is the same thing as, so now I'm down below, I'm starting to write things in to help myself get to the next number. 1 is the same as 16/16 minus, so we're still subtracting minus 3/16. That is going to equal 16 take away 3 is 13/16. And then, so that would be this one, 13/16, and we have 1 here. And then 13 take away 3/16 is going to be, we can actually do that. We're starting to be able to do that just in our head. 10/16. This is 10/16. And then 7/16. And then 1/4, which is, if we want to actually check, which I guess we might want to do, how many 16ths is that? Well, 4 times 4, 1 times 4 is 4, and 7 take away 3 is 4, and so that actually works really well. Now this is messy because there's a lot of work happening on here. We're working along here, and then we change color, and we're working through this. Basically, that's you almost have to come with a line that the book gives you, and then come below it with another line of the answers, and make sure that everything works. We're going to do just one more, but remembering that we have to find the rule. Write a rule for the sequence, then find the unknown term. So we start with 1. Oh, sorry, it's not 1. It's 1 and 1/12. Then it's 5/6. Then it's blank. Then it's 1/3. So all we have to do is find the sequence, or find the blank and the rule. 1/12. So we've got 12ths, 6ths, thirds, and 12ths. So we can just turn everything into 12ths, and we'll just do that. So we're just going to leave 1 and 1/12 alone, and then we have to figure out, well, 5/6 is the same as how many 12ths? 6 times 2 is 12, so 5 times 2 is 10. So that makes sense. Now, how did I get from 1 and 1/12 down to 10/12? Well, I have to go. This is one of those I can do it in my head, but some of you might not be able to. Some of you already know what you're doing. So I'm going to have to come down here and show you a little work here in another color. Okay, so 1 and 1/12 is the same thing. We're going to change this 1 into a fraction. So 12/12 and plus 1/12. So this is an improper fraction. We're going to just put them together and call it 13/12. 1 and 1/12 is more than 1 pizza, and so is 13/12. So if I go from 13/12 down to 10/12, I can see that I'm subtracting 3/12, which is actually, believe it or not, the same as 1/4. Okay, so we're going to assume that that's maybe the rule. 3/12 should be the rule, and that means that we're going to add our next one. 10/12 take away 3/12. Take away 3/12 is going to be 7/12. All right, and then the next one is going to be 4/12. And we have to find out if 4/12 is the same as 1/3. See, it lines up here. This lines up, this lines up, the blank lines up with 7/12, so we think that it's 7/12. And then the 1/3 lines up with 4/12. Are they the same? Well, 3 times 4 is 12, and 1 times 4 is 4. So yeah, they are the same. And then the next one would be 4/12 take away 3/12 is 1/12, and that works. So the rule is subtract 3/12. We can see that's what happened all the way along. All right, that's your lesson for today. I know it could be a little scary. Do it just like we did it, and then you should be fine.